Good afternoon and welcome to our coffee and talk session this afternoon from DevFest Budapest. I am here in Budapest studio accompanied with Arpad Jorzsits, and we will have April Edwards, Markku Lepisto and Nils Magnus joining us remotely. And sorry for this noise, we will take care of it very shortly. Let us begin. So earlier this year, Gartner has predicted 6.3% growth for 2020 for the cloud market itself. And they also stated that SaaS, although being the most easiest and convenient service model for companies to join and be involved with cloud, public cloud, the IaaS and PaaS market combined will take over or could take over from the revenue share. April, are you there with us?
I am here.
Yes, brilliant. April, what do you see of this trend? And are there any specific or preferred service model for Microsoft?
I would say Microsoft with SaaS has really accelerated this year with things like Teams and M365, which is all SaaS software now. But with IaaS and PaaS, we see so much uptake. We see customers looking to embrace the cloud more, and the infrastructure as a service and platform as a service in conjunction can provide a lot of opportunities for customers in the cloud. And I think of the companies that are going to do well in the current political situation we're in with lockdown and COVID are going to really embrace that. And we do see a lot of customers looking to consolidate data centers, consolidate services, and look to the cloud to help give them that platform in which to do it. And then we see acceleration of other things like, adoption of DevOps, adoption of, people changing roles a little bit, especially in a very remote world. So we absolutely see that coming through in the market in this year, in 2020.
Markku, would you like to continue, or?
Yes, sure.
How's Google's perspective on this topic?
Well, it really depends on the business-to-business company. So if you're a company providing services or business to other companies, it depends what you're doing. It depends where you are in the stack. But to generalize a little bit, most of the public clouds, most of the hyperscalers have something called a marketplace. Usually it's called marketplace, I think, in all of them. So that's a really handy way for the infrastructure provider or public cloud provider to help onboard ISVs, so independent software vendors. So maybe they were selling software licenses with CDs earlier, so now they can then probably run that slightly legacy software, if you will, in the cloud, and the cloud provider can help them with billing and security controls, etc., just easily on-ramp or migrate that software to the cloud, and then they can provide it to their business customers from the cloud. So I would say that that's the easy on-ramp, but personally, I would love to see more companies, ISVs, embracing the cloud and, for example, starting to offer an API with an SDK. So let me give you an example. If a company would offer a true cloud native way of their service, it would be offered as an API with utility billing, with hopefully open source SDKs for the different languages. Then you could tap into that API. So practical example, let's say you go shopping. If I go grocery shopping, I don't know what to do. Maybe I see some nice mushrooms there, some porcini mushroom, and I could take a picture or scan the barcode with my phone. Now, let's say that you have a recipe API. That barcode goes there, it identifies the mushroom, and it could give you personalized recommendations of different dishes you could prepare with that mushroom as an ingredient. And if you like one of those, you click it, and it gives you a shopping list, buy these in this many quantities. So that's what I would like to see more, because the whole point of cloud is supposed to be services through APIs. So I would like to see companies move up the stack to that level.
Thank you very much. Nils, are you with us? Nils Magnus?
Yes.
Great.
Yeah, well, if it comes to the different levels of the AASs, the infrastructure, platform, and software as a services, I think it boils down to the customer's needs, in fact. It really depends on what you're actually doing. So the SaaS model is, and I fully agree to that, is a very easy approach if the provided solutions match your specific needs. But sometimes you have to go a little bit deeper and need to access the more specific resources, like on the platform or on the infrastructure level. And having useful APIs and interfaces for that, and I completely agree to you, Markku, is key for that. But in the end, everything, regardless of what kind of level you are approaching your cloud solution, it always boils down to the lower levels anyway. So having a good foundation on the infrastructure level is very helpful and necessary, but convenience and business value is added if you go up to the other levels. That's my opinion and how we do it on the Open Telecom Cloud.
Great. And Arpad, what do you see from a system integrator perspective?
Yeah, as you mentioned, I'm coming from a slightly different angle, the angle of the system integrator. And actually, I'm fully with Nils on that. It's not that simple. VST Systems International, we mostly focus on the large enterprises, the big giants of the automotive sector or the oil industry, just to give you a few examples. And our customers are big, they are complicated. But it doesn't mean that they are slow. They want to remain competitive. They want to leverage all the things that you can get from cloud computing. But at the same time, they are complex and they have a high number of customized solutions. Therefore, simply doing SaaS is simply not an option for them in many cases. They cannot do it from one day to another. Therefore, we are getting an increased number of requests for replatforming, refactoring their current application landscape on PaaS level. And it doesn't mean that they are not doing IaaS. They are doing IaaS as well. But we see a clear tendency that they are shifting more on the cloud native side, but it takes time. And that's okay. And we are very happy with that. And we are supporting them on that. And actually, it becomes even more interesting when we combine the great solutions we get from our vendors and partners, and we are able to combine them with our own managed services, what we can put on the top, for example, of a PaaS solution. And this can be a very powerful package, and our customers definitely like that.
Thank you for mentioning hybrid solution. I wanted to crossfade into that topic. Markku, what do you see? What is the biggest challenge for customers choosing from all these various opportunities and solutions from the market? Are there any specific the customer has to choose from, or would you consider hybrid as the viable go forward, or what do you see as the biggest challenge?
I don't think there can ever be a one size fits all. So it all depends on what business you're doing, what is your current situation, what is your plan and target. If you are new to cloud, then you're already late. Most of your competitors already have a business, have a competitive advantage. Anyway, if you're new to cloud, I highly recommend that you start small with some easy wins. So not with your core systems. You should validate the cloud vendors and choices and services, and you should demonstrate value from the cloud. And at the same time, your team should learn. They should start getting involved. SI integrator partners are a great way of actually accomplishing this POC, usually they're called POC, etc. projects. So start learning. What will you get from the cloud? Well, probably agility. So, for example, April earlier today and Darko gave great talks on DevOps and CI/CD. So absolutely those new processes are needed as well, not just the new technologies and services. Everything is interrelated. But if you start practicing these new things, and then maybe migrate some of your brownfield systems, then you start getting efficiency gains. You start saving some money and saving some resource effort. Now, you could just sit back then, but that's the wrong thing to do. You should build new value. You should build new revenue from new value, which is new products and services, or improving them. So take the savings and put those into training your people, starting new projects. And I would recommend, like earlier heard today, starting with cloud native small development projects. That's doing them is the best way to learn them. And then piece by piece, these new things will then start being cloud native. And then you have portability and scalability and resilience, hopefully as well there.
April, how do you see that from Microsoft perspective? Is there anything you can add to Markku's words?
Absolutely. I think Markku's spot on. I think Google and Microsoft have this similar mentality about cloud adoption that's very similar amongst all the cloud providers. And when you're starting on your journey, you have to find the cloud provider that works for you. And I think more importantly, most customers are spread amongst multiple cloud providers, not just one. And that is extremely common, and people shouldn't be afraid of it. So there's very much a hybrid mentality. Microsoft's put out a lot of tools to help with that, how you manage your things that are on premises in another data center or another cloud, because that is the way of the world. And when we work with customers looking to go to the cloud, there's a massive amount of upskilling required. And I would say Microsoft's been really good at putting forward material to help people learn and upskill. And Markku's right. When you start embracing the cloud and looking to leverage your infrastructure and turn it into database as a service or platform as a service or any of these other services, you pick that low-hanging fruit, some easy wins, and that's a great time to scale up. And you can measure the money you're saving and reinvest that back into the organization, whether that be back into the product, the features, and then also maybe your people, and that's a big component. So there's a lot of benefits of cloud that people just think, well, I'm going to save X amount of dollars or pounds or euros per month by moving this infrastructure thing over here, but what is that value that's really driving from that? And that's the big piece. And there isn't a one-size-fits-all approach. So if you find a low-hanging piece product or a feature that you can, application stack you can move over, those are usually the good wins. It teaches your teams, kind of how to do this. And there's also great resources out there to learn. So it's going to be it's a very hybrid mentality, and it's not a one-size-fits-all for any organization.
I'm sure it is not. Nils, any specifics from the European market, as OTC is mostly present there, or?
Yeah, well, I'm working as a cloud architect here at Open Telecom Cloud, and when we are discussing with customers and clients on their approach to the cloud, we often hear requests about hybrid setups. And then I try to figure out two major cases. One major case is there are some specific requirements that require both a public and a private component, or several public components of the cloud, so a typical multi-cloud scenario. Because of independence of a single vendor, because of distribution in different regions, or whatever. And then there is also the case number two, where some users just want to lift and shift their existing workloads to the cloud somehow, but they don't want to change the infrastructure or change the workload at all. And that is something that I propose to double think about that. This is really a good approach. It looks very low-hanging indeed, but it could be that you are just moving your technical debt from one data center to the other. And this is something which I would recommend not to do. So I agree, starting on new projects or setting up, starting small with workloads that you are able to deal with, and then go for a multi-cloud approach, go for a hybrid approach. That is all fine, but keep the cloud native mentality in mind. That is, I think, the most important idea to deal with if you're going cloud.
And
that's my recommendation.
Thank you very much, Nils. Arpi, do you have?
Yeah, I have 2 comments actually. The others have talked a lot about education and mindset, and yes, indeed, that's important. And actually, we have been talking about to educate or engineers and system administrators for a while. That's important. I would even go one step further, and I will start with the C-suite level, because if the company as a whole not really understand what they can do with the public cloud solutions, that can be a blocker in some cases. Just think about how you manage your IT if you are using more capex than opex and things like that. And this isn't about a good or bad situation, but eventually when you're starting to buy more and more subscription-based IT services, you can find yourself easily more on the opex side, which is growth and not a problem at all, but all the processes, governance surrounded by the IT department should be aligned with that. Otherwise, the whole topic won't work and the journey won't be as successful as it could be. And the other things I would like to mention is the complexity of this journey. We are a system integrator and we work with a lot of customers, and believe me, most of our customers are using not just one public cloud. They are using Azure, GCP, Open Telecom, in some cases at the same time, plus their hybrid, plus their on-prem. That's a complex story. And that's the reason why that in many cases they are asking for some help from the system integrators. And that's also a reason why in T-Systems we come up with our own cloud migration framework to make sure that all the cloud adoption frameworks we get from our partners are combined actually in one storyline. And if the customers don't have this kind of information and experience, that can be also a blocker. But because this can be a very nice journey, but it's easy to be lost in the middle somewhere.
Indeed, easy to be lost, and there are many questions like cloud security and governance and new technologies like edge computing. April, would you like to carry away?
Sure. I've worked with so many customers that are so excited about the cloud, and then they've gone, we need to secure this after the fact, or now we need to govern it. We've built out all these subscriptions and all these things, and you walk in and it's literally a rat's nest. And it's great they were trying new things, but it's become the afterthought and not the forethought for a lot of these organizations. So this is where the planning into the cloud is really beneficial in saying how we can secure it and govern it and do it from day one. In terms of what is kind of the focus, I mean, from day one with Azure, the security is absolutely there. It's kind of like we give you a lock and key, and it's your, as the consumer of Azure, to enable that lock and key into the product. So security is at the forefront of every single product we put into the cloud without question. It's getting our customers to recognize when they need to enable things and how to do that as well. So there's quite a bit around that. The governance piece is also probably the new hot thing that customers are really focused on. We have a lot of work around frameworks and governance with using, whether it be ARM templating or using something like Terraform, but basically infrastructure as code to automate your governance. And that has been where I've been working with a lot of customers that maybe have embraced cloud or multiple cloud situations, but then how do we automate this? How do we put in the governance? They're having to backtrack a little bit, but it is where I'm spending a lot of my time, is the security and governance piece with a lot of customers. Before we start talking about code and development, we have to get that right so that the environments we're building our applications into are secure and they're governed properly.
Markku, what is Google's standpoint on this?
Yes, fully agree with April. So security and governance are likely the top 2 for enterprises in the top of their mind. And just like April said, it has to be baked in, it has to be designed from the ground up to be secure, to have governance. And us as providers and service providers, utility providers, we need to make sure that those security and governance controls are there and that they are easy. So if they are too difficult to use, people are not going to use them. And like April said, automation is key. So use must also automate your security controls, etc. It's all part of the workload. It's all part of the system. In addition to that, I want to just quickly mention something nobody has talked about, the edge side. So I'm personally a big fan of that. I know it's not the highest focus area, but things like these are, in my opinion, a very exciting, probably new revenue generating area for many businesses where, for example, Edge AI, together with cloud services, can provide interesting new functionalities that can make life easier and probably generate some revenue for some companies.
Arpi, would you
So
share?
I
Oh,
try
Nils.
to
Yes.
catch up with my
Yeah,
my
sure.
audio.
Please,
So-
please do, please do.
Yeah, well, what I'd like to add is a relatively new term on the cloud agenda, that is data sovereignty. That is something that we, especially here in Europe, discuss a lot. And it's a term meaning that you keep your data in your realm and you keep the control of your data. And that is very important to many customers. And that's why we run in the Open Telecom Cloud our data center in Europe, in our case at the moment in Germany. The next region will be opened in the Netherlands. And we operate them under European law by Europeans. And that is, especially if it comes to the GDPR, a very important aspect of dealing with your data, because you have to make sure that those data is not accessible by any means, by any operator from areas that do not cover, that are not covered by the GDPR itself. And that is not so easy, actually, with many setups. But we've seen in the past a lot of requests for features like that. And that's why we have spent so much time with certifications and GDPR compliance, and as well security certificates, and so on and so on. And that's really something I would recommend to anyone who's going cloud as well, not looking on only on the technical specs, which are most often quite comparable, but also on the soft skills of the cloud, like data transparency and other features like that.
Arpi?
Nils talked a lot about security, which is definitely a key
And
topic
data
to us as well.
sovereignty
The
as
data
well,
sovereignty,
yes.
absolutely. So I would like to talk a bit more on the governance part. I often think and believe when I'm thinking about our customers' IT landscape, and also think about like they are Lego cities, and we get actually now a lot of great Lego pieces from our vendors. And they
How
are
do
not
they
just
fit
pieces,
together?
to be honest. Yeah, but they are not just pieces. Actually, they are Flumbo Lego sets. Very good ones, actually. Fire station here, police station there. Our job is to make sure that all these Lego pieces or Lego sets are connected, customized, tailored to the exact needs to the customers, and also to make sure that the whole city will be able to work as a whole effective ecosystem.
To
And this is
function,
what is very,
yes.
to be able to function. And then the Lego station can talk with the fire station and with other parts of the city. So I think governance, especially if we have to deal with not just one cloud platform, I think is key.
Well, thank you very much for all of you. I do believe that this is what we had time for today. Any last sentence, April, maybe, as a wrap up?
I think customers are going to go hybrid no matter which cloud strategy they use. My one big piece of advice is get a cloud strategy and automate as much as you can.
Markku?
Start trying and using the different clouds and different services there. I do believe that that's the only and best way to learn, is to start using them with something small.
Nils?
If you all work together, and well, we have so many opportunities in terms of clouds and services, that's the best way to go forward. So form a community, join those community, and engage in this community. That is my advice and recommendation.
Thank you, Nils. Arpi, as a last sentence.
I would also say cloud strategy, learn 6R. That would be my advice to everyone.
6R. That is quite a catchphrase to the end of it. Thank you very much for joining us to this coffee and talk session, and I hope you enjoyed this discussion as much as we did, and please follow our following sessions. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.